Alright, another River Copilot episode. This time we're in Turkey. We're kayaking down the Great Gorge section of the Manavgat. I went here for my first time last year and I just completely fell in love with this river, and I hope to keep going back to it every single year forever. If you're a confident Class 4 kayaker, you have to come to this river. It's going to be an amazing experience. You're going to love it. If you do want to take the trip, then I have a blog up on the Palm website about the best way to take that trip and how to easily and quickly get to this river. So let's go. We're dropping into the Manavgat now. Some small rapids and some flat water will bring you to the first bigger rapid of the Manavgat pretty quickly. It takes about 15 minutes. You can see me here, I'm dropping in from right to left, pushing over left throughout the rapid, and at this water level just skipping through and not having an issue at all. When it gets a little bit higher, the curler gets really big here and you have to be prepared for it to grab you and for it to just launch you to the right of the river. Luckily you land into an eddy and it's a pretty easy paddle out, but when it's higher, doing what I just did, it gets way harder. Grab a quick look at it from river right before you go for your first time, and yeah, skip through there on the left. After this rapid, there's a couple of smaller easy ones before you're dropping into long dongs. You can see me dropping in here. I've been kayaking all week. I'm a little bit tired, but I know exactly where I'm going on the river, so make of that what you will. Dropping in here, making sure you grab a little bit of that booth and skipping through with all that speed straight to this next booth, and you want to booth it and tuck into that slow water behind it so that then you're landing and you have a lot of time to line yourself up for this turn. This booth that you can see in the middle here is so good to go over when the river's just a little bit higher. At this water level, I don't think it's going to set you up very well for the rest of the rapid, and there are some rocks in there if you're upside down. So at this water level and lower, I'm running to the right hand side of that booth rock, but if it's anything higher, then I'm just flying over the top of it. The next one after long dong comes up pretty quickly. This is the slot, and it's a pretty tricky little move, but what you're going to do is run it on the left, lean into this curler and be ready to pull a big booth over the back of the curler, and all being well, you're going to skip through there like it's nothing. All not being well, it normally flushes, even if it doesn't go well, and people have portaged it on the left if you're into that. Nice, fun, read and run lead out to the rapid here, just staying in the middle of the flow. And then after that, we're coming up to the siphon booth. So when you mention the word siphon, everyone will pay attention because you're talking about a dangerous river formation. And this one is pretty gnarly, but pretty easy to avoid. So you're going to drop down on the left of the river here, lean into this curler, let that fire you to the right of the river away from the siphon, and then just pick your point to go off this next slab. The water does pull into the rock there, so be aware of that, be careful and look out for it. I'm only going to put in this next rapid so you know where to enter. Don't go in the middle where it looks obvious to go because it lands onto rocks. Work your way down the left and then move right through the rapid. It's basically nothing, it's just waves. We're going to skip straight ahead to the next one. Okay, so this one I call Twister, and you're going to be working your way to the left hand side of the river over this first little booth here. Wha-bam! Skipping, waiting, lining yourself up for it and trying to deal with this curler off a wall as best as you can. That was one of my better lines through it, honestly. Normally what happens is what happens to Flipper here. You sort of come in, tail gets swallowed, span out, something like that. No, not a big deal by any means, but not a clean, smooth line continuing down the river. You have to fix some problems at the bottom of that rapid pretty often. After this, we have a bunch of smaller rapids, but with really nice booths in them. Be on the lookout for them as you go down the river so you can hit them all. Really, really good fun moves out here. This next rapid I call Long Dong 2, and at higher water it flips, right? So at this water level, which is medium, the booth at the top is very easy and the bottom is a little bit harder and you have to work a little bit to get down it. But when the water level rises, it flips and this top booth gets very intimidating and the bottom of the rapid gets really easy as everything fills in. So more nice booths right here. These ones are super nice. You can do this first one with the lefty and the second one with the righty, and you can see Flipper flying off it right here, which is always nice. That booth that Flipper just did there marks this rapid, and it's pretty easy, but those rocks on the right in the corner are sort of gnarly, so you want to stay away from them. You can run the main sneak line, as I do here, where you cut you cut hard to the left and make that turn early. I've tried doing it later and I've tried having smoother lines, but I normally get stuck on those rocks in the middle, and then I'm like slowly being pulled to the exact spot that I don't want to be on those rocks on the right. So I like to cut the corner early here, deal with everything, and the main thing is to not go into those rocks on the right. You can also run that sneak line at the top on left of the tree. There's more space than it looks, and that's a really easy sneak line. After that, we're dropping into a deeper, darker section of the gorge, and you're going to see this tributary coming in from underground. Really unique and really beautiful. You don't see that in too many other rivers. This rapid I call Trib Killer, and I'm not sure if it changed or whether there's just more water coming in from the underwater tributaries, and that's what's closing it off, but basically it's called Trib Killer because the first part of it, the first booth, looks like Champions Killer on the Uts. The second part used to be a wave hole, but now for whatever reason, whether a rock moved or there's more water coming from those tribs, it's closed out and it's pretty gnarly. I didn't run it a single time on this trip in like a lot of laps on this river. I think with more safety and a different kayak I would possibly go for it, but it flows pretty quickly into the next rapid, so if you do go for it, you definitely have to be prepared to have your crew fix everything for you quickly, because you 100% do not want to end up out of your kayak and without your kayak, or to have any issues on this river, because until you get to the bottom you're in the middle of nowhere, and there's already been one kayaker stuck in there overnight, so let's try and not have any more. The next rapid is Norway 1. If you wanted to, you could work your way down the right, find an eddy and scout, but it goes pretty good if you go into it with some speed and some confidence, and when you do drop into it and you know your line, you can run this left channel and hit this booth at the top. Sort of hard to get up and onto, but it really adds to the rapid, and it feels like a much longer, faster rapid this way. So you're dropping in here over these waves, looking for the peak of that booth, a little bit higher, and it's really clean. At this level you have to work to get on top of it because of those two little reactionary waves hitting the rocks. And then you're out in the middle of the river, and then you're tucking hard to the left of it, dealing with whatever comes your way. Normally you get typewritten by this thing into the right. Sometimes you can make it over pretty clean, but normally you're on the right hand side of the river, surfing off the wall and dealing with what comes. Some smaller rapids will quickly bring you to Chinatown. You've seen a lot of footage of this if you've been watching the Turkey videos. This is one of the main rapids, and this is actually from a different day when there was more water in the river. You can see that difference in the watercolor. I'm putting it in because that was my best line off it ever of all time. Really cool, unique rapid. You can scout on the right and portage it on the right if you want to, but it's an amazing rapid. When you put back in, you're quickly again coming up on something that I like to call the Thing. And the Thing is this cool double drop setup, and you never quite know what's going to happen, but you can be sure that if you're filming with a big camera and hoping to capture a sick line, but none of those lines will happen with a big camera. It's only on GoPro that you get a clean line down this thing. So dropping in the middle of the river with a little bit of right to left, pulling my way over the curler of this first hole, and then just holding on and flying over the next one. That was my best line of the entire trip down that thing. No big cameras running. The next rapid I call Runaway, and I was scouting out multiple lines for you on this. So you can go middle and follow the fast water and work your way from middle to left throughout the rapid. For anyone that's not confident doing that, I tried going over these rocks for you, and it totally works. So you land there, deal with the boils off the backhand side, stay calm, look for it, and be ready to tuck in to the left as you start dropping down this ramp. At this water level, which is medium/medium low, this is not a big deal at all, but when it gets higher, that curler gets pretty big, the eddy pushes back into the hole, and the hole gets pretty ferocious. So that's why it's called Runaway, because when it's higher, I am intimidated about it, and I firmly feel like I'm running away from it. More underwater tribs coming in from the left, and from here on the river tends to get more wavy, longer, more open rapids, less holes, which is pretty nice. That doesn't last for too long as you come into Booth or Swim. This one, there's a sneak line over on the middle left, and there's a really rocky sneak line on the hard left that you can do. If you want to do the booth where you might swim, then it looks like this, and Basically, the only thing to really know is to look for that big point in the middle and tuck behind it so you go off the nicest part of the slab when you boof. And hopefully you boof and make it through and it doesn't end like this for you. If it does, if you do get stuck in the hole, although it definitely body research flipper for, I don't know, a couple of seconds, five seconds maybe, there is flat water behind it, so you have time to collect pieces and all of that stuff, but make good decisions, have a sick time down the river. This is the start now. This is the put in for the easy section of the Manavgat. I would still say it's class 3. I would still say it's class 4, but a lot of the time there's class 3 moves around it covering your distance, and there's only really a few sets of class 4 rapids to deal with. But anyway, we're putting into that section now. Some smaller, easier rapids before the gorge flattens out and you paddle through this amazing, beautiful canyon. Absolutely incredible. And then it'll lead you up to this next booth. And you can run this, there's a sneak line on the hard left, which works really well. There's this booth that I'm doing in the middle, and you can also run it on river right. After this, we're cruising down the river, endless amounts of waves and nice lines and things to mess around on and play here. It's really amazing. And then after that, we'll come up on this rapid, which I call Norway 2, mainly so that the rapid Norway 1's name made sense, because why would it be called Norway 1 if there's only one of them? So this one's called Norway 2. Basically, the main thing is to deal with this curler at the top and to be left of the main hole in the middle. This curler is surprisingly powerful. This is my second lap of the day and I'm feeling a little bit tired and a little bit like relaxed, and you know, like it gets me and it messes with me. But I have a lot of time to fix my problem and get back to where I need to be on the rapid. And if you just go harder left with a bit more speed, that won't happen to you. The main thing here when you come over the slab is to be on the left of the hole but tucking in behind it and push into the middle of the river, because when it's a little bit higher there's another hole immediately behind it and another one out in the middle. So it's a really cool rapid, but definitely some things to avoid in there. Lots and lots of cool rapids on your way down here until you come up to what I call Manavgat 5. Manavgat 5 is called that because this top booth looks a little bit like the number 5 booth on the Zambezi, and I think there's also probably a total of 5 lines down that rapid if you want it, but I just hit my favourite one, which is off the Zambezi booth thing and then dealing with the side of the hole at the bottom. And again, a couple more like easy rapids and then we're into what I call Tombstone, and this is the last big rapid of the river. There's more rapids downstream, but this is the last big one. And I call it Tombstone because there's a big rock in there that sticks up like a tombstone, and one of the rivers I learnt on as a kid had a rapid called Tombstone, so it feels right to put it in. This, I would say, is like a medium good line down it, so you can do better than this, but you can also do much, much, much worse than this. And you basically want to surf that curler down, be ready to jump over this rock ledge, and then off you go, clean sailing. Dealing with that curler is much harder than you would think, and I have been underwater, upside down and backwards off this thing, so don't take it too lightly. After that, again, there's a couple more rapids, and then the gorge is going to flatten out, and you go paddle to the takeout. The takeout's on river left. There's like a split in the river around an island just before it, so make sure you take that on the river left. And then you're stopping at this amazing like little takeout with barbecues made there, and either you're going to have your car there or our mate Gio is going to be at the bottom. I put Gio's contact details in the video description. If you go to Turkey, hit up Gio and try and get him to drive for you, because that is the best way to have a good trip out there. He knows all the put in and takeout locations. He is a super good, trustworthy dude, and he's been taking photos of every group that he's taken to these rivers every single time, so you can actually check the water levels before you drop in, which is super sick. And like I say, Gio's the man. So that's your River Co-Pilot episode of the Manavgat. This is the Great Gorge section. There's more rapids upstream, there's a super stout canyon below it, and yeah, this is pound for pound for me one of the most amazing rivers in the world. This section of it, I think, is one of the best class 4 sections in the entire world, possibly with like 1 or 2 class 5 moves such as Chinatown and stuff like that, but by and large you're in one of the most amazing, beautiful gorges in the world, and you've got sick class 4 moves the whole way down. On average, I would say it takes about like 2 or 3 hours to get a lap in. Our high water descent, it took us over 5 hours. I would say for an average group on the first lap, you'd be looking more at like 4 or 5 hours. When we got to know it well and the water level was at cruisy medium flow, we were doing it in just a little bit over an hour and going up for 2 laps. So lots of options on this river, and it just gets better the more laps you get down it. I absolutely love it. You can, again, if you're interested in taking a trip, you can check out the Palm blog I wrote about how to go on your trip to this river. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment below or suggest me other sections to do, and hopefully I'll get those done as soon as possible. And yeah, cheers for watching, team. Appreciate you.